Kiom Chimua William.
Kiom Chimua Jolene.
Kiom Chimua Paula.
Kiom Chimua Spencer.
Kiom Chimua Matthew.
Kiom Chimua Nathan.
Kiom Chimua Molly.
For the past 10 years, Summit Church has financially supported AIM, Agape International Missions, an organization in Cambodia that rescues, restores, and reintegrates young girls out of the atrocities of human trafficking. But after 10 years, we had never actually been there. We had never seen their faces firsthand.
And so we felt called to send a team to Cambodia to serve, to encourage, and to learn more about the amazing work AIM is doing among the most vulnerable in their community.
Cambodia is in Western Asia, nestled between Thailand and Vietnam. Cambodia is about 70% the size of our state. You can almost perfectly fit it inside of Wyoming, but the population is over 16 million.
Cambodia is 96% Buddhist, 2% Muslim, 1% Hindu, and only 1% Christian.
The vast majority of the population is incredibly poor. The average per-person income is less than $5 a day. 70% live on $3 a day, and about 18% on less than $2 a day. The country of Cambodia is filled with beauty and color. The people we interacted with were very kind and gracious. Okay, but I gotta admit, the trip was long, right? It took us over 30 hours of driving and traveling and flying to finally get there, and that 11-hour flight was brutal. But we really got to experience the presence of God those 12 days. And when we got there, it was hot. They explained that there's basically 3 seasons in Cambodia. There's the rainy season, there's the hot season, and there's the hot season. It was 101 degrees every day with 80% humidity. You were just covered with sweat all day, every day that never evaporated. On Thursday, we went up to Siem Reap and worked with AIM's Lotus Kids Club. It is an amazing ministry. They have about 60 4- and 5-year-olds that come every day to school and learn about Jesus. They have a nurse that gives them vitamins and teaches them how to brush their teeth. We got to lead devotionals for the staff and interact with the kids. We taught them Duck, Duck, Goose, which was new for them. For them, it was called Thea, Thea, Hanan. We just had a blast doing that.
After lunch, we did a kids club program out in the community. About 30 elementary-age kids showed up. We were able to do songs and games, and Ratanak led the message. We gave out food, and a lot of people here in Buffalo had sewn these dolls which could be used to tell the gospel story. So we shared those.
The dolls were a huge hit. I wasn't so sure, especially when I saw that over half the kids were boys, but everyone wanted one, even the moms. Then we went out to the slums to give food away to the children there, and they are essentially homeless people squatting on government land, living in these kind of nasty shacks.
Our van pulled up to a barren, dry dirt expanse, and we were going to bring fruit to this area, and we walked up to this slum area dwelling place. There were men lying on a blanket, playing dice, and the rest of them were kind of just standing around watching to see what we were going to do. And the local AIM leader just openly started to speak the wrongdoing that was happening in that place. And he was speaking about the children being treated poorly and actually being mistreated. This experience just helped me to just enjoy being part of what Christ was doing, just part of his team.
It was just absolutely gut-wrenchingly heartbreaking to see. But AIM is making a tremendous impact in that community.
For me, one of the highlights is getting to meet and connect with some of the AIM staff and seeing as a whole what the organization was doing. It was just so encouraging for me to see these people on fire for God and on fire for the mission that he had placed in their hearts. And you could just tell how well the staff loved on the kids and how well they loved each other. And it was just so present and so evident, and it was so special to get to be a part of, even for the days we were there.
There are basically 3 levels of poverty in Cambodia, and AIM only serves the poorest of the poor in their trafficking prevention programs.
The most impactful thing on this trip was to see how AIM has their program set up, from not just the rescue piece of the sex trafficked victims, but how they integrate into the entire family, and the focus that they have on children. That to me was just very impactful.
Now, Friday was a cultural education day. We got up at 4 a.m. to watch the sunrise at Angkor Wat, the famous ruins, kind of the remains of the Khmer kingdom from the 12th century. It was pretty amazing to see all the intricate carving and detail. I was totally in my element. The Khmer kingdom was originally Hindu, but today it is filled with Buddhist statues and offerings and incense. Saturday was another cultural education day. We learned about the Khmer Rouge, an atheistic Marxist group that seized power in the 1970s. Their leader, Pol Pot, wanted to return the country to a socialist farming nation, so he ended up basically murdering just about everyone who was educated and religious.
We toured S21, a school turned into a prison where they would torture and interrogate people.
We then toured the killing fields, where they would take those people out at night and murder them and dump them into mass graves. In the end, Pol Pot killed almost 2 million of his own people. It was 50 years ago, but the trauma still lingers and affects the people of Cambodia to this day.
On Sunday, we went to Swai Pak, where AIM has its headquarters, and we were able to worship with them, which was awesome. It was pretty loud and boisterous, but we were so loved and welcomed.
We also played soccer for a couple hours with the kids in the program, and Pastor William even scored a goal.
A moment where I really felt that God was working in my heart was on Sunday after we went to church. We were going to go play soccer with some of the kids that either attended the church or they attended the kids clubs that we were going to be helping with a couple days afterwards. And I honestly just, from the beginning, I did not want to do it. I didn't want to go out there and get sweaty. It was so hot outside. I wasn't wearing the best clothes for it. And I just had a whole list of excuses for me not to do it. But we got to the soccer fields and the guys went out there and started playing. And I just really felt the Holy Spirit urging me to get out there and go do it, even if it made me uncomfortable. And in the end, I'm so glad that I listened and I went out there and did it, because I just had a blast connecting with the kids through play and through playing those games with them. And even though I did get gross, I did get sweaty, it was so worth it in the end. And it was just great for me to learn that no matter big or small, if it's a game of soccer, the Lord can use it to work and grow me.
On Monday, we got a tour of AIM's facilities, and we were quite impressed with what an amazing job they are doing. AIM has totally transformed that community.
It used to be a dangerous neighborhood where people didn't go out at night.
The sex trade is all over the country, but Swai Pak is where underage girls used to be abused. But now, so many people in that community are Christians, and they are filled with hope and joy. They are living a new life. In fact, they made us wear AIM shirts and lanyards because apparently if they see kind of people that look like tourists walking around, they call the police, because it typically used to mean they were there for all the wrong reasons.
Monday afternoon, we helped with the kids club. We brought all kinds of games and crafts, but the favorite was the huge colorful parachute. We played a game called Sharks and Lifeguards, and there was so much fun and laughter.
On Tuesday and Wednesday, we took about 30 students and a dozen youth leaders about an hour and a half into the forest for an overnight camping trip.
I think a standout memory for me is when we were on our way to our camping site. We were taking a bunch of kids on an overnight camping trip, and I was sitting next to a little girl, and we both had our notebooks out and we were drawing for one another. So she'd draw a picture and then I'd copy it, or the other way around. And it was just really cool to connect with her that way. And even though we couldn't speak the same language or anything like that, we still understood each other and connected with each other.
Hi, my name is Paula Hepp, and I'm here in Cambodia. We have met many friends, and AIM is a beautiful organization. From how they got started to what they do, it's very comprehensive. My heart is here with them, and the staff is amazing, from administration on down to the people who are boots on the ground. The people have made my trip. My heart is full.
Now I'm thinking Cambodia, forest, don't we call that the jungle? But it ended up being wonderful because we had 36 hours that we got to be with the kids, which enabled us to really, learn names and build trust and forge real relationships. We taught them kickball and played a lot of frisbee and volleyball.
When our team broke out frisbees to kids that have never played with frisbees, and watching them learn how to throw a frisbee, that just warmed my heart and made me chuckle, because they're just the innocent of not knowing how to do that, and they're ultra competitive people, so they just, by the time we got done, they wanted the frisbees every time we turned around. So that was probably the funnest part that I got to see.
In the afternoon, we went up to the creek and played in the water.
I got in a huge water fight with all the kids.
That night, we had a campfire and taught them how to roast marshmallows for the first time. Many of these kids had never been out of the city in their life. This was their very first time to be completely surrounded in God's creation. At the campfire, Pastor Nathan was able to give a message that Pastor Vichette translated for them, and then the children had a chance to share what was going on in their hearts. The next morning, we gave away the salvation bracelets that so many of you here in Buffalo helped to create. I hear VOA made hundreds of these things. We then shared the gospel message, and 9 children came forward and responded. Praise God, it was so cool to get to see him at work.
Thursday was our last day in the country and was supposed to be a free day, but we had made a great relationship with Booney, our driver for the trip.
Booney is a Christian man, and we just loved him. He was so fun and so funny, just so filled with joy.
He had taken us to see his home, which he was trying to remodel before the rainy season came.
And so we spent most of Thursday morning hauling wheelbarrows full of dirt and pouring concrete, trying to help Booney work on his home.
It was an amazing experience. We got to see some beautiful sights. We saw interesting creatures. We were able to taste new and exotic foods.
We were able to experience the crazy traffic, just surrounded by hundreds of motorbikes as we were zipping around in little tuk-tuks. But friends, there is a weight, a heaviness there in Cambodia.
One thing I learned about Cambodian culture is the levels of poverty that I did not realize. It wasn't just a material poverty. There was a lack of self-worth, and they didn't feel cherished, some of them. They didn't even feel loved by their parents, and that really affected me.
They are experiencing a heavy oppression from the occult. Everywhere, the Buddhism and the worship of idols and spirits is just everywhere you look. There is a heavy oppression from poverty. Their homes were just these small little one-room shacks, people sleeping on the floor. Even dogs and cows that we saw were just so scrawny and they looked half dead. There is a heavy oppression from trauma that lingers from the killing fields. This philosophical worldview that saw people not as humans made in God's image that deserve dignity and love, but that just saw people as numbers that needed to be eliminated.
There is a heavy oppression from trafficking. People see these kids as disposable. They are just commodities to be used, abused, and discarded.
And yet, friends, in the midst of that heavy weight, that darkness, Agape International Missions is shining the light of Jesus Christ. They are bringing the hope. They are bringing the joy. They are literally transforming the community. And I am so incredibly blessed and grateful that we here at Summit Church get to partner with them in their kingdom work. Thank you for being part of the light.